Hello, we are here.
Alrighty. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the party. Uh, I am your. That was weird. I am your dungeon master this evening. We're going to be playing some Dungeons and Dragons 3.5 edition. I am the Bardic Knock. You can find me all over the internet on Twitter, Twitch, Patreon, and YouTube under that name. So go look at that if you are so inclined. Um, Let me tell you about Welcome's Party for a few minutes. Welcome's Party is an all-inclusive uh, space for all the people. Go check it out. There is a Discord link in the description down below. Um, you, there's just stuff. People being people, supporting other people who are also people. That's basically it. Go check that out. You can find Welcome Party all over the internet as well. Go check them out on Twitter at Welcome Party RPG. Here on Twitter, twitch.tv/Welcome Party RPG. Over on YouTube at youtube.com/Welcome to the Party. And over on Patreon, patreon.com/Welcome Party RPG. Um, big thank you to our sponsors that help keep this channel running. That is Tabletop Loot for your dice needs, Devon Rue, who is a wonderful artist and does lots of nice, wonderful things, and someone So Nerdware. Go check out So Nerdware, and you can get 10% off with the code WELCOME. Because So Nerdware do all of our merch, like the shirt that Shan is currently wearing, but you can't see. You,
Shirt.
there you go. You too can be like Shan. No, buy the merch.
Yeah, buy the merch, but don't be like me.
Why not?
Because I am the only one that can exist like this.
I mean,
That's
yeah,
true.
if there are other people out there being like you, then you wouldn't be as beautiful and unique, and that would
I'm
hurt
a
you.
special snowflake.
The most special.
Yay.
Um, Other things. Well, one thing that definitely needs to be done. I need to turn the brightness down on that light because I'm getting a horrible glare. There we go. Um, hey, you can support here on the channel by subscribing. That's great. That's wonderful. Do that every month. You do so, you get to give advantage to a player or game master of your choice. That's the thing. You can also donate bits. Bits are a thing. We like them. They're great. 500 bits. A small thing happens. Mechanical, crit. You pick a thing. Just a thing with the numbers happens, and you go, yay! For 1,000 bits, a big thing happens, and it's even more wonderful because you made something big happen. I'm looking at the chat right now on the Twitch. So you just do the thing, and I go yes. So that is how all of that works. Before I forget, because I normally do. Hey, podcasts. They are a thing that Welcome's Party has. Go check them out. You can find them on Podbean, Google, and iTunes, all under Welcome Party RPG. I think at the moment we've got a Rifts game, a Legend of a Fire Brings game, and a couple of D&D games that are being made into podcasts. So go and check those things out. There, I said all the things. Now, players, we have them. They're here. They're gonna talk about stuff. Probably who they are. Let's start with Shogun. Shogun, who are you?
Nobody. I'm
That's
playing
harsh
as
on yourself.
Natalie, a death and trickery cleric who is just along for the ride. Uh, because these people might be able to kill her husband, hopefully.
I mean, all things that you look for in a group of friends.
Yes.
Right below Shogun, we have Shan. Shan, who are you?
I'm Shannon, Shannologic across all the internet, and I am playing the one, the only, Greg the lesbian half-orc gunslinger. So very excited to see her not die. Hopefully, I'd like some adorable gay closure.
That's what we're aiming for here on the channel. And speaking of gays, Rebecca, who are you?
Hello. I'm Rebecca. It's very dark, but I can't fix it right now, so deal with it. Um, I'm playing Litzwa, the Dwarven Warlock, and that's about it.
Yeah. And last person who is here right now, we're hoping TJ will soon. Cody, who are you?
We cannot hear you. How did you break your audio in the last 5 minutes?
He's very good at it.
Nothing's
It's called
happening.
skill.
So, vamping whilst Cody tries to figure out what's going on. Bum, 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 ba-dum. Yeah, you know what? Cody can't speak for himself, so I shall do it for him. Hey all, I'm Cody. I'm playing Kid, the human Eldritch Knight, which is a combination of wizard and fighter. And yeah.
Lower. You gotta lower. Because it's kid
Uh,
now.
so it's kind of I can't do low without going into like really, really British. So,
I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, that's that. Cody will figure out what's going on with that in a minute. So yes, that is who Cody is. Bump a dump a doop dump. Words are failing because I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, that's just every day, really.
Smells, but you're fine.
So what is happening? Just I think I know what's happening. Can
Good
you
question.
recap
What?
me on what's actually happening? Ah.
Yes. Last time, the Daisy Chains collected all of their forces, and you gathered at the ruins of Dundee, which the map is slowly making its way over to.
I got lost.
That's fine. And you got yourselves prepared. You sorted some stuff out. You got yourselves all ready. And war happened. Is happening around this ruined city, which has been turned into some kind of war camp. A ginormous maelstrom has been summoned by your uh, slightly less insane dwarf friend Relifor, and yeah, war. It's happening.
Are my children
Giant
here?
flying.
Are they participating?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, we'll leave that up to you to describe exactly how they are participating.
Oh, it's
But
not very exciting. They're just mostly zombies. They're just in there.
So, what do I remember? Giant flying fortress of death is there. It exists. Surrounding giant flying fortress of death, there are several dozen flying things. Some which resemble humans with wings uh, and bird-like features as skeletons just flying around, and also zombie unicorns with big leathery bat wings stitched to them, being ridden by people wielding flaming swords. Also, a giant fish with a frost giant torso stitched to it, and a giant serpent just hanging out, breathing lightning. So that's going on in the sky. Your friends Reginald and Unst, they dove towards that thing. Their flying eagle has that's gone. That's spiraling down to the ground. Um, and ground forces. You have many ground forces who are just running around doing all of the fightings. But one set of ground forces we didn't talk about or get too much in is the what are we calling them? Yeah, I believe we were calling them Team Fuck Mary Kill, which
Team
is
Fuck Mary Kill.
Hey, there
we
you
go.
are.
Here you again.
Yep.
Yes, I believe that was made up of Greg, Natalie, and Angus, who are riding a giant bone snake, just cutting through hordes and hordes of enemies. So we can jump straight into what they are doing, because up in the sky you can see your friends fighting a giant whale with a giant stitch to it, while you're just scuttling along the ground, getting closer and closer to this giant flying fortress of death. Oh, also, fireballs and lightning.
Oh.
TJ's here.
Ah!
Hey, hey.
Hello.
Ruined everything.
Fireball.
All right.
I'll fix it.
So,
Sorry, Shogun.
whilst
Just keep going. Just keep going. I'll fix it.
well, while Shogun is doing that, I am gonna say we got a lovely follow from somebody called Authority 396. Thank you for the follow.
I
So,
have a question.
Yeah.
So the enemy forces are made up of undead. That's
Mhm.
correct, and then also some human forces. Is that correct?
yes. The humans seem to be. They appear to be more caster based. You know, they're wearing less armor. They seem to be in charge. They seem to be in a more command position.
Oh, okay.
What Flip discovered previously is if you take out one of these casters, a bunch of the undead things kind of just stop.
Okay. In that case, I would like to look around, and I'll roll for that in
Mhm.
just one moment. I want to try and identify a leader amongst the casters. Like, look for their boss, because if we can kill whoever's leading them in this battle, we might be able to break the morale.
Okay. Well, before you do that, hey TJ, you're here. Do you want to quickly tell us who?
I fixed it.
Or are you not here anymore? Have you left?
Damn it.
He's a rogue. He's sneaky.
I just gained invisibility. That's what it is.
So, TJ, who are you?
I am TJ playing Flick, the halfling rogue, and now hedgehog breeder. That's right. I definitely didn't go and get another hedgehog.
That's why you're always late. Your incessant need to collect hedgehogs.
Unfortunately, they're getting angry when I'm stacking them in the other room, though. I'm gonna have to do something about that.
By
What you need is those.
You're like piling hedgehogs on top of each other. You're making like a tower of hedgehogs. Or...
You need to
Well,
get
they
one of
curl
those.
up into those.
Next to each other.
You know
They
those.
curl up into those nice little balls, right? And then they're like Velcro. You just stick them together, and their prickles go into they just lock together. It's perfect.
What you need is those little, at McDonald's play places, those places where you put your shoes.
Oh, for a second I thought you were going to say a ball pit, but all the balls are hedgehogs.
That could work too.
Surprisingly, the one of the best things you can make for them is a ball pit out of stones, so that they can dig in it, and then you just put bugs on the bottom. Hedgehog ball
actually
pit.
sounds really cool. I mean, do we just want to not play D&D and just let TJ talk to us about hedgehogs for
Oh, that might take 4 hours. I don't know if we have.
We'll never be able to get past it.
No, I want to kill somebody. Hang on.
Let's kill someone.
Okay, D&D. Yes. Shogun, you wanted to roll to see if you could find
Yes.
anybody who looks as if they're in a position of authority.
Let me snatch up my
Much like
sheet.
Authority. 96.
Oh, hey, I
paid
just
you in the
remembered.
chat.
Looking is a skill. Not
It is.
spot, that's what it's called. I'm not terrible at it, but I'm not good at it. I clicked the button and nothing happened. Hang on. Let me try again.
Fingers crossed.
Spot. Hit the die. Oh, there we go. Now it rolled twice. Grand. So 16 was the original roll.
Okay. Uh, 16. It's pretty easy to see the people who look like they are slightly more in charge. You know, this army you're fighting against is, they're very coordinated and simplistic in their tactics. Basically, you see anyone riding on top of an undead unicorn, they're kind of in charge. If you're looking for one singular leader,
Mm-hmm.
there doesn't appear to be one here on the battlefield.
Okay.
If there is somebody who is totally in charge, they're probably inside the giant flying fortress of Doom.
Okay. What do these leader, like the casters that are riding those unicorns, what's guarding them, like keeping them out of the melee? Do they have like a troop of undead around them to protect them?
Yeah, each one of these casters who's on a unicorn, they seem to have some larger undead around them. In fact, do you remember the big hulking things that were in the prison tower?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, they seem to have two of them around each of them, and then just a bunch of normal mookie zombies, various other undead.
Okay.
Oh, lovely.
So what I would like to do, because I don't want to directly engage with these people, I just want to send out several of my undead children to just go mingle with these undead crowds and just kind of blend into the swarm of enemies. And then just kind of throughout the battle kind of just shuffle a bit closer, and at some point when they get a good opportunity just stab the casters in the back.
Yeah, I'm down for that. You know, this isn't really full-on combat because it's
No,
far too big
yeah.
to do real combat roles. So, how would you describe that? Like,
Yeah, well, because my children don't have any particular, like, insignia or banner that they follow, they're just undead knight looking people. So they just kind of walk up and they're now just standing amongst the mob of zombies. And then they just kind of, like, push the other zombies out of the way, just kind of like walking through a crowded mall sort of thing. And just push their way closer until they get the opportunity
No.
to
There's a bed behind me.
just like reach up and grab whatever the caster is by the shoulder and just bring them down, and they would fall onto their sword that they have pointed up.
I like that. Yeah. How many children do you have?
Just a couple hundred.
Okay, yeah. So easily, this is quite doable. You know, obviously, their forces are uncountable.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Thousands upon thousands upon thousands. But this tactic works surprisingly well. As you can just see, you know, countless of these spellcasts just being dragged down, taken out, and just all around them, undead just falling over, like shambling, collapsing to pieces. You are physically seeing their numbers decrease as you go,
Very nice.
which is very useful for your ground forces, who you've got Keldor leading the monstrous legion, and they're holding up really well, but your other ground troops, they are really struggling to just keep going. But this is really starting to give you an advantage. You can see that your troops are now just pushing further and further forward.
Wonderful.
So, yeah, you're doing good.
All right, Greg, I think it's your turn to show your stuff. And so
right.
Spice will like coil herself up and aim her tail up into the sky at whatever that big monster thingy is, and just like kind of set itself up as like a mounted AA gun for Greg to man.
Awesome.
I
I'm gonna
think
climb up
in
the spines of the
woman-
snake.
Oh, yes.
Climbing up the spines of the snake's ribs, I'm gonna get to the gun on the back and just start like shooting the crap out of everything.
Okay. Like, by law, you are required that you need to have a big stonking cigar. If you're
Oh
going to
yeah,
do
that
this.
happened as soon as like we started this war. I'm just like, if I'm going out.
All right. Yeah. So, I'm assuming it was covered by something. You know, you had something to keep this a secret. So I don't know. You pull off a tarp or however you
Yeah,
kept this
there was
hidden.
like a torn up flag of Dundee that I used to cover up the
Yeah.
hill. And I just rip it aside, revealing this huge ass Gatling gun with just bands and bands of ammunition spiraled up inside the snake.
Oh my god, the snake is just ammo.
Yeah, pretty much.
And so you aim up at this giant thing that you have seen. Well, what you will have seen is you will have seen Utswa fire a new scary blast at it that seemed a little bit darker and more ethereal and smoky, that seems to have created black flames all over this creature. And then you also will have seen a big blood cloud splatter as a giant eagle falls from the sky, and Reginald and Unst can no longer be seen because there's just blood everywhere and a miasma. Do you have anything to say as you aim your giant snake tail Gatling gun?
Say hello to my little friend.
Okay. What kind of damage do we think this does?
Well, I made sure that all of the rounds are armor piercing.
Nice.
Uh-oh. We lost someone. What happened?
And we lost TJ.
TJ, no!
TJ's got an iffy connection. So
He'll be back though, right?
Yeah.
While we're at it, let's figure out how many rounds you can fire off in a... Alright. I'm gonna regret this question, but y'all are Americans, so I'm assuming at least half of you know a decent amount about guns, except TJ, because he's not American.
That is a
Um,
stereotype, and yes.
How many rounds per
Well-
second can a
Well, this
Gatling
is like
gun
an
fire
old,
off?
more old-fashioned crank
let's
gun, so I would
see.
say about 10.
Oh no. This is a magical Gatling
Oh,
gun,
that's
my
true. You have
friend.
magic.
This thing can fire 3,000 rounds per minute, roughly 3 times the rate of a typical modern single-barreled machine gun.
Alexa, what's 3,000 divided by 60?
Alexa, you're useless.
60s into 3,000 would go...
50. 500.
Yeah, I was gonna say about 500.
So 500 bullets a second.
Okay, that's a lot. So
And
for-
let's see here. I just want to check what my armor-piercing rounds do damage-wise.
It's 50.
Armor-piercing rounds.
I'm bad now.
Armor-piercing rounds just -2 to the enemy's AC. They don't really do additional damage. But they're easy to replicate and make a fuck ton of, so.
Okay.
So they do about the
Obviously-
same as my standard attack.
Yeah, I was about to say, obviously I can't let you roll 500 d20 to see how many of these hit, because we'll be here forever. So, for ease, why don't we just assume you hit, because you're firing 500.
It's like a fireball. You can't avoid all of them.
Yes. So, in fact, yeah, let's make it equivalent to a spell. So I'm gonna have this creature make a save, and let's roll.
Hey,
how
Greg.
much does
Have you heard of that spell,
just
Cloud of Bullets?
pistol- How much damage should just a pistol do? Is that a D8?
That is a 1d8, yes.
All right, wonderful. Roll me 50 D8.
Okay. Let's see here. Do 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 do.
That is survivable, unfortunately.
It is.
234.
Oh goodness.
234.
Survivable by who?
Survive that. Some creatures, depending on damage reduction.
Yeah. So. Okay.
I thought you
Well,
meant
it
for
got
us.
No,
it got
not
a
for us.
pretty decent reflex save. Obviously, I don't have a DC set for this. I'm just going. All right. You know, it got a reflex save of over 20. I'm going to say that's a pass.
Yeah.
So it's going to take half damage from that. So half of that is 167.
Mhm.
Yeah, as you just fill this thing full of bullets. Good.
I like that it screams silently, as if it
The only
was
thing-
hitting the person in the other room.
Oh, I'm trying
The
to be
only thing
quiet.
Matt
I have
is-
neighbors now.
The only thing Matt is equally uncomfortable describing as female body parts is gun noises.
Look, I wasn't very good at playing guns as a kid. I couldn't make the noises. Everyone else is going around going.
That's when he knew he was gay. Just like that. You watched too much Beavis and Butthead as a kid. That's what it was.
I mean, yeah, kind of.
Affect you as gay right off the bat, huh?
F.
I don't think the point of that was I don't think we made that sound nearly epic enough for Jen's crazy magic gun.
Okay, if someone else wants to make the sound instead of me.
In my
wasn't-
head, I just imagine Greg just quietly going pew pew. Just
It's
like in
magic.
her-
Do you want the gun to go pew?
Yes. I want it to just be a chorus of pew.
Except it fires so fast that you can never hear individual pews, so it's just.
Yeah. It sounds like a consistently long fart.
I mean, have you heard a like
Now we're
a,
back on
a
brand.
minigun on a helicopter? That's what they sound like.
So,
Yep.
Greg, you unleash the longest, wettest sounding fart of bullets. We are
Silent
all
but deadly.
So
mature adults.
here's a more epic scene. If to counteract that, what you do see is the long chain links of bullets that are interlinked between the ribs of the giant bone snake, like slither through in between the rib bones, hanging from them like rotting flesh from a zombie.
And as we're doing this, just to keep the perimeter around us safe, because zombies are swarming on all sides, I tell Natalie that it's time for Operation King Cobra.
Okay.
And we turn on the flamethrower that's in the snake's mouth.
All
There's
right,
actually
yeah.
stats for this.
Yeah. So, it's basically just a breath weapon. If someone wants to crack open a breath weapon table for me, because my books are still all piled up and I haven't set them out.
What are we gonna go with? We're gonna go with adult.
I think it's more than adult.
More than
you have plenty
adult.
of time. I'm trying to remember, like, what? It's not the biggest. You're not doing Great Worm, but what's between adult and Great Worm? Is it mature
Ancient?
and then one other? Yeah, I think there's
Old.
mature and ancient. So let's go mature.
Okay.
Yeah. How much is that for?
Which kind of dragon?
Pick a
Fire
dragon.
breathing
red or gold?
motherfucker.
Oh, there's lots of fire-breathing ones. Red, brass, or gold, I believe, are the fire ones.
On it.
Or is it
Yeah.
bronze, not brass?
No, bronze is not a fire. I don't think so.
Bronze is, yes.
Is bronze?
Yeah, brass
no,
is
brass
lightning.
Brass
We
is.
could- yeah. Okay.
We could look it up.
Debate semantics.
Yeah.
Here we go. Adult. Or is it mature adult? Tell me one more
Mature.
time. Mature adults. All right. Mature adults does 14 d10.
Yeah, roll that.
And what's the next, or excuse me, reflex save of a zombie?
Reflex save of a zombie. Well, it has to beat.
Negative?
It's not going to beat it.
It's-
a 26.
Yeah, no.
It's a 26. It's not possible. I don't think.
14 d10.
Yeah.
What's that? 20 nat 20s.
Yeah. Okay. So, what's the size of a cone from that? It's like 40 foot, I think.
You know how long it takes to type dragon color size into Google?
A lot.
Less time than you're going to sit here waiting for us to pull the answers out of our ass.
It's true.
Yeah, but
What type of dragon is it? I'll do it for you. What do we decide?
I don't know.
Adult red,
Let's say it's
mature
gold
adult
because that sounds
gold.
cool.
Yeah.
Mature red dragon. D&D
And as
5.
Spice is swinging around, just shooting flames everywhere, as much as they can, it's also just like headbutting things because it's got a giant metal machine inside its head now, so it's got a lot of weight to just hit things with.
Okay, mature adult. Sorry, which stat are we looking for? Cone size?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
size of a cone.
It's breath weapon DC damage, not cone size. All right,
Yes.
you're off the hook on this one, Matt.
Yeah, it's not that easy, is it, TJ? Dick.
As one through breath weapon, a cone of fire. Juvenile or older red dragon can use. Yeah, Doesn't say.
Okay, just a lot.
Just big. You know, you've cleared a neat little path in front of you.
Wonderful.
There's now just smouldering corpses that were once not alive.
Wonderful.
I love the smell of decay in the morning.
And wait, who's the third member of our group? What was that?
Angus.
Angus?
Angus had just sat there holding his hammer, like.
He's a horde ornament.
I'm just gonna shout back, sit there and look pretty.
Okay, I'll
Do better.
I'm trying. I'm trying my
Should be
best.
singing a
I'm
song.
sorry. And I don't have a fantastic charisma score. He's doing his best. That's pretty much all he can do. All right, yeah. So ground forces, you're doing a bang up job, basically. So all of that's going on. Meanwhile, up in the sky, having just been filled with a lot of bullets, the giant collaboration that is Satanfish, Lion the Frost Giant, and a giant electric breathing serpent. It's not a happy chappy. In fact, one might say it's somewhat angry. And so, in retaliation from being blasted with some new fancy attack from Utswa, the serpent kind of rears up, stares at Kid and Utswa on their thingamadoody-doody, and it opens its mouth and it unleashes a line of electricity. Can the three of you make a reflex save for me, please? Hello?
Who is the three of us?
There we go.
Apparently nobody knows who you're talking to because nobody's saying it.
Oh, he said Kid and Utswa. That's what I heard.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Ah,
Kid, Utswa, and the bat.
There you go.
okay. That makes more sense.
I'll just sit here waiting for someone to roll.
That was my
Three of
fault.
us
Okay.
talking about confused.
I have reflexed. I reflexed at a 15.
Mm-hmm.
I did all the reflexing.
If I recall, Oots was terrible at this too.
Oh, hush.
Give her a minute.
Literature.
9.
Oh.
God damn it.
I think
And
Kid might have had a
Do
point.
you have stats for the bat?
No, but I know what a dire bat is like. If I recall, they have decently good stats.
Yeah.
Not faster than lightning. They have a +10 to reflex.
All right, that might be useful.
And being half dragon does nothing to that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I just rolled a 3. Do you want to roll for it instead?
Yes, I will always do so. That's an 18.
Plus
All right.
10.
Yeah. So the bat makes it. Kid and Oots, we're gonna get. I do not have enough dice for this. So slash R.
Oh, that's a glorious sign.
That's the best thing to hear.
I'm scared.
So Oots, with Kid, you will take 44 electric damage,
Ah,
and the
That
bat
hurts.
will only take half of that.
All right,
Ugh.
that hurt a
Down
lot.
on, down on the ground, Greg, you're sat. Did you build a chair attached to this? Like, did you just make a chair to sit on with this gun as well, or are you standing like a badass?
It's kind of just like a saddle setup.
Nice. I just wanted to know for curiosity. Can you make a yes, a will save, please?
Yeah, sure. Once I get to that fucking page. Let's see. Boop boop. 25.
Well, that's a crit as well. So, yeah. The giant flying fish with tentacles coming out of its face and its 3 eyes. One of the eyes glares down at you, like one singular eye rolls down and stares at you. It seems to glow brightly and goes. And you feel something like try to perforate into your mind, and you kind of. I'm assuming you just like glare back at it and go, "Not today, motherfucker."
Now I glare back at it, and in my mind, I just project the thought, so all it can hear is just the squeakiest voice going, moist, 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 moist.
no.
And I mean, I don't think aboleths have noses, but if it did, it'd get a small nosebleed. Um,
They technically
so,
have orifices that are multifunctional.
so Greg, you're okay. You're fine.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Your psychic attacks over all of these bullets.
So that's that, and something that the rest of you can't quite see because what Greg made it harder to see. Greg added to the cloud of blood. There's stuff going on. All right, groovy. There's melee stuff going on the giant fish's face that you can't see. So that's all that. Cool. That would bring us back round to. Well, there's not a real order here, so flying people. Flick and slash or team other wild magic. That's what you called yourself. Who wants to go and do stuff?
Ah, shit.
Well, TJ just dropped
Yes.
again. So wild magic. You go. Well,
Okay. Okay, so I have a question.
yeah.
Aboleth, slimy looking in its new form.
Sure. Why not?
That's unfortunate. Okay. Because I do have an idea. And it's a grand and glorious idea. That might just work.
Why'd you have to bring it up, Cody? Why?
Well, because what I was about to do requires me to jump off of the bat, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to direct the bat directly above this thing,
Mm-hmm.
and I am going to leap from the bat. So, Utswa, you're now in control of the bat,
How do I drive these things?
and as I fall, I'm going to cast Polymorph on myself.
What are you turning yourself into?
I am going to turn myself. Well, here's the first thing: it has wings. That's the big thing.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to turn myself into a wyvern.
Nice.
So there's the
do-
stats.
yeah. Do you want to describe how that looks like? How do you envision this? Is this going to be like some animorph type stuff? Is it going to be like a magical girl
basically-
transformation?
Basically, what Kid's going to do is he's going to jump off. He's going to very quickly move his hands back and forth, and then suddenly punch himself in the chest.
Mhm.
And at that very moment he punches it, the wings just sprout from him,
Mm-hmm.
His neck just extends, and it looks very human up until the draconic parts kick in. Okay. So as I have taken to the sky with my fly speed,
Mm-hmm.
I am now slightly. I'm at least apart from the bat, so now this thing has to pick and choose.
Yeah.
So,
Are you like dive bombing and attacking it as well? Or?
won't be able to do that in this turn. The polymorph takes too much of my time.
Yeah, cool. But are you now within melee range of it? Have you gotten closer? Are you creating distance?
We'll tell you what. If I am able to dive, and this is technically theoretical combat, yeah, I'm gonna stinger it.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, that's gonna be a. That's not a +10. Hold on, my base attack bonus still kicks in from this. So my base attack bonus is a +7. Very nice. And with the new strength of this form, that's very nice. That's a +11 to hit.
Okay, cool. Getting close into melee means that you can see what's going on. Where the corpse slash skeleton of Lion ditched this aboleth, you can see that engaged in mortal combat lives, you see Reginald, who has rammed a lance into this thing's stomach, and Unst, who is wielding I think he's wielding a greatsword in each hand. He is fending off a rather large-looking. What weapon did Lion have again? I'm generally trying to remember.
Hammer.
Yeah, he's like fending off a hammer. They both look very beaten up. Neither Reginald nor Unst look particularly great, but they are holding up against this thing.
That's a 27 to hit.
Yeah, that'll hit.
Okay. I'm going to see if I can rake the stinger down a little bit and hopefully get close to one of them. I don't know if either of them want to ride, but I know that Reginald's pretty good at doing the flyby combat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty much what he's made for. So, yeah, you can do that. You can get close enough, but Reginald can turn. Nice. That's going to happen. Utswa, you're in charge of a bat now.
This is a poor decision. I never got lessons for that, so.
It's meant to fly.
What?
I mean, to be fair, if you just leave it alone, it'll fly. All you can do is fuck it up.
Oh god.
That's not good.
Sounds exactly what like she would do, so that's a good thing. One second here. So what she did last time was cool and damaging.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do that again because that was neat.
Like fire, oh fire, this burn.
More,
Just
so, more pew 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 pew.
I'm trying to find my fucking. Where is it? There you are. So do I get that fire thing for the whole battle, or just that one time?
The fire is forever until it makes a save.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so you roll 14 will definitely hit its touch AC, dealing another 23 damage. You have an additional 2d6 to roll as well for the fire. All right, so 30 damage all in all. Like I said before, this is not a happy-looking chappy. Probably doesn't have much more left in it. For certain, one more Gatling gun blast at the very least will just decimate this thing.
Hey, Greg, what's your? I don't know if you can hear Oots or not from where you are, but she's just squeaking like a crazy motherfucker. Just so happy.
I could probably just hear like a quiet.
Yeah.
Okay. Flick. What are you doing?
Sitting around being open to suggestions for anyone who knows how I might take my wireless connection out back and beat it with a hose. Other than that,
Let your rage take over. That's the best option I have.
yeah, pretty much.
Let the hate flow through you.
Oh, am I close enough to yell and conceivably have anyone else in the party hear me?
You know what? I'm going to say, just to make life easier, Gen 3, Gen 3 Major Wall, I don't know, what's an item slot that none of you are using?
Ferrari's telepathic bond.
I don't have any rings.
Or
Yeah,
anyone
or
have a
Spice
ring?
can read your mind.
Yeah, Gen 3 gave you all magic rings. That means you can all communicate with each
Okay.
other. It's not telepathically. It's like when you talk, you've got telephone rings, basically.
So the only one who can't hear you right now is Kid, because he's polymorphed.
Yeah.
Perfect. Oh boy, I sure am glad I remember this ring that I got recently that none of us have used yet.
God, what the fuck is that? I wish I was.
Oh, you're a wyvern, how do you
I'm a
pronounce
wyvern. I can't do anything.
it? Yeah, you just go.
Oh, wyverns can talk.
Oh shit.
Okay, so I shout out on the ring network to anyone who can hear me. If anybody gets hit, I snuck a healing potion into each of your bags while you were asleep. Don't worry, I didn't charge you much.
Sorry, I just realized something, and I made myself chuckle. Earlier, we were talking with chat, and I was saying how I managed to convince an American that here in the UK, a colloquial name we have for the telephone is the ringamajig.
That's what these are called. Totally.
Patent pending, patent pending, patent pending.
So,
Okay, so yeah, last time we checked in with me, I was running around whipping these magic users off of their literal high horses using the troll gut rope that I was also attached to a giant eagle with. Correct?
yes,
And Vako was also on this eagle with me, right?
yes, being quiet
Okay.
and mysterious.
First things first, I throw Vako off. No. Okay. Just because he's not here. He can feather fall. He'll be fine. No. I'm going to fly over towards this crazy monster aboleth thing that is all of our nightmares over the last year recombined in a blender and topped off with one of those nice maraschino cherries everybody loves, right?
Yeah.
And speaking of the maraschino cherry, that's exactly what I'm going to go for. It's got 3 eyes, you said?
It has 3 eye holes, but I'm pretty sure you managed to gouge. It has 2 working eyes.
Okay, I'm going for another one. And yeah, you can see my instincts run in the same vein. Yeah, so I'm just going to keep working on eyes. And I will go for an attack for that if I can get close enough.
Yeah.
Just dive.
Yeah.
Are you going to bungee jump? Because the rope can do that.
Oh no.
Do it.
I think the Wi-Fi just kicked out
No.
TJ again. Audible sigh. Ugh, dang. We will never know if Flick is bungee jumping or not.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
There we go. Idea. I'm going to have Vako fly the eagle like over, like well over top of this thing where I'm imagining it's like looking down towards everybody swarming around it. I'm gonna have him aim the eagle right over top of it, and then when we get like so that we're just about to fly over top of it, I'm just gonna swan dive off the back with my arms crossed and a dagger in each hand with the troll gut wrapped around my waist, and I'm gonna try and pendulum it so that as the eagle's flying forward, I'm falling straight down, and when the rope goes taut, it's gonna swing me forward with force and I'm going to use that force to put my daggers into the remaining 2 eyes of this thing if I can.
All right, roll to hit.
All right. And are these considered sneak attacks?
I don't think the giant monstrosity saw this coming. So.
All right. I'm not going to throw him. I'm going to like ride this thing right up and stab it in both of its eyes. And first one. All right. It's not flat-footed, right?
No.
Yeah, didn't think so. It's okay.
I mean, it doesn't have feet.
Fair enough. First one.
19, yeah, that'll hit.
Yeah. Second one. Oh, this should have a minus 2 or 4 on the attack. I think it's a minus 2. Either way, it's a 33, so.
Yeah. All right. 2 solid, fantastic hits. As you dive down, dagger in each hand. What are you screaming? What are you shouting as you swing down? And
as I like stand up on the back of the eagle, I've got my arms crossed like a vampire, and I just fall backwards. And as I swing down, I like go upside down, and then I flip over as the rope goes taut, and I come up, and I've just got a dagger in each hand, and there's no words. It's just completely silent until I get up, and then right as I come into its visual range, right before I hit its face, I just stick onto it like one of those Garfields you see stuck in the back windows of people's cars. And I'm just hanging there from the 2 daggers in its eyes, trying not to fall into its mouth below.
All right. As you do this, the entire creature kind of like rears back and lets out a bellowing cry of pain. So much so that oof, double oof. Yeah. Reginald and Unst lose their footing and get flung off the side of this thing as it rears back and goes. Makes big, scary, demonic whale sound.
Oh no, I don't
sound?
care.
I got him. I say as kid jumps off in dragon form, just flying down.
Okay, so Kid, we'll see if you can grab them next turn. This will bring us back down to ground forces. I'm assuming you are plowing forward. You are getting closer and closer to the giant flying fortress.
Mm-hmm.
First thing that needs to happen is to make life easier. Can Spice just make me a reflex save?
Okay. I'll just roll a d20, then add their stats.
Yeah.
15 plus 14.
Plus 14. All right, that's good enough. So you're going to take...
So 29.
Spice, you're going to take half of the damage from this. So Spice takes half of that as a fireball falls from the sky, and it doesn't land like on you, it lands somewhere nearby. Spice is going to take the brunt of the damage for protects everybody who's on it, so that's fine. You see it take out a bunch of the zombies and their own forces because these people don't care. I'm going to say that you are now close enough to be directly underneath the giant flying fortress of death. Which is 100 feet up from the floor.
Okay.
So that's where you lot are.
All right. Greg.
Yes.
Should we just go for it?
I made that man in that tower dickless. I want to make him headless. Let's go.
All right. I think at that moment, my skeletal dragon shows up and picks up Spice.
Where have you been storing the skeleton?
I think underneath the battlefield. It just like snuggled underneath, and it just stands up.
All right. hear me out. You know how Spice has a burrow speed? What if Spice has only been half above the ground, and underneath the dragon has been like burrowing underneath it the entire time?
Yeah. So yeah, it just and the battlefield just explodes, dirt raining everywhere as its giant rotten wings spread open and flaps to bring us up to the flying fortress.
Man, I
Okay.
think whoever farmer owns this field is really getting the ultimate win here. First we're fertilizing them for him, now we're plowing them.
Okay. Phew. As you do that, as you erupt from the ground, Jim, there's now a big hole where you were. As you're getting close, you can see that this fortress is quite large. It's a good, 100-foot square. You see that it has all of its cannons, and they look as if they're about to fire, as in next turn they're all about to fire. What do you have anything to prep for that?
I think the dragon throws us forward
Mm-hmm.
so that Spice and us will get in there, and it charges forward to intentionally eat all of that fire. And
Nice.
it wants to just charge through into the bottom of, like, it's going to just take all that fire and just try and use its momentum and just get through and collide into the bottom of the fortress.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so it's going to like toss us forward and then it's going to accelerate so it goes ahead of us to go do that, to block all the fire and try and break open the bottom of the fortress so there's a place for us to actually go.
This is some anime bullshit. I'm gonna throw you, and then I'm gonna run past you after I've thrown you. No, I'm into it. Greg, you're now flying. What are you doing?
I'm gonna crank the gun so that I'm looking up at the aboleth. Was it called?
Yeah. I mean, it's a whole bunch of stuff stitched together, but call it whatever you want.
Well, all I know is that thing used its weird spiky tail butt to shoot lightning at my love, so I'm going to try and cut that thing off with bullets.
Okay, so you are specifically aiming for where the serpent is stitched on as the tail.
Yeah.
All right, go for it.
Surgical.
Surgical
So you're
bullets.
specifically trying
Okay, so
Okay.
let's see. What do I roll again? It was like 50 something.
Yeah.
It
What I'm
was
going to do
50
for this. 50d8.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do for this is the reflex save is going to be lower because you're aiming for a specific area to be hitting.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it's fine. It's still going to take half damage most likely.
Isn't it
Alright,
blind,
yeah.
though?
Isn't it what, Pop?
Oh, I don't know, blind? I don't know if that hurts your reflex save.
It does.
Oh, hey, Scraticus is here. Nice to
Oh,
see you,
hey.
buddy. So, hey, I can't type. Hey, buddy. Yeah. I mean, the serpent has its own reflex. It's a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh.
But yeah,
Yeah.
do the roll.
All right. Let's see. Hold on, there's something I'm doing. Let's see. That doesn't really say if there's a tail involved. Never mind. I'm just gonna do the roll. I was trying to do something fun, but
Are you doing anything special or just?
well, I'm gonna use let's see.
You dealt 5 more damage than last time.
I'm doing special targeting, but it only talks about if the targeting is against arms, head, legs, torso, and wings. It doesn't say anything specifically about if I hit a tail. So
It's technically a limb, So yeah, arm.
All right.
So what's the special rules for arm or leg?
Well, let's do leg. It's damaged normally, and it's also knocked prone.
Okay. We're going we're going to reflavor that knocked prone as you blast off the stitching, so the serpent that was attached, that falls, that like that just is cut clean off. Serpent falls to the ground, and just like it just dies on impact. You know, it's falling dozens and dozens and dozens of feet. So you've got rid of the electric cannon. Like the well, yeah. So that's gone. Good
This
job,
was
team.
cheering in the background. Yeah.
Okay. Bum, 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 bum. Ooh, it's that thing's turn. That sounds about right. It's not looking great, like at all. Barely holding on. So, well, the people engaged in melee with the frost giant torso, which was attached to it, they're not there. So the frost giant torso is a bit really not. So it does the only logical thing, and gets the big hammer thing that it has, and it's just gonna chuck it. It's just gonna throw the big hammer. Um, who? Yeah, it's gonna try and throw it at Spice.
We're flying through the air.
Yeah.
Good luck.
What's Spice's AC?
Spices. AC. Find it. 18.
I'm on it. Okay.
Because it is using dodge on that guy. Because
I believe that.
Spice apparently has dodge.
As you do. All right, so it does hit, and it's a pretty hefty hammer. So Spice is going to take. Wow, that's an abysmal roll. I rolled 3d12 and got 226. So that's 10 plus the strength mod for the throw. That's only 17 damage.
And
to
that's
Spice.
bludgeoning?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's reduced.
Oh wow, reduced.
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah, nice. So that happens. The Aboleth is confused and dazed. It had its eyes cut out, so that's not doing anything.
I'd like to think that the hammer just goes through the middle of Spice and just takes out like two sets of ribs, and then it just like relinks. Just closes the gap.
I mean, if you like, you can say the hammer gets caught in the link, so you can steal this hammer.
Yes.
There you go. We like stealing things. The NPCs, they are falling to their potential death. Cody, do you want to try and stop that?
Yes. So, let me see. Describe the scene for me, Matt. How far are they, and how quick am I?
Well, they aren't falling. Well, they're falling pretty fast, but you are close enough. Unfortunately, they fell on separate sides, so you probably do not have enough speed to swoop down and grab both of them.
Okay. Well, it's a damn good thing I'm a spellcaster. So basically, what I'm going to do is, in my draconic voice, I'm going to immediately belt out the verbal components for the spell regroup, which immediately teleports my allies to my side.
All right, yeah. Let me have a quick read of
As
that.
long as they're within 45 feet, I can do it.
Yeah, both of these just, and they. Do you get one on each wing?
That's the plan because I'm trying to do my best to not overload myself because I think between the two of them, their armor might just weigh me down too much. So I'm trying
Well,
to.
Unz basically isn't wearing armor.
Oh, that's
Um,
good. So he only weighs 200 pounds by himself.
Yeah.
That's about as much as I can carry.
Yeah. So that's fine.
It's gonna be a heavy landing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically what I'm gonna do is like, okay, I'm not really in control. I'm just gonna try and land with style.
Okay, Utswa. What do?
Okay. So you said the Aboleth Chimera is not looking good?
How it is still standing is a miracle, quite frankly.
Neat. Okay. That sounds good to me. Then we. Just gonna do it all again. And
That is a pitiful damage. How many ones did you roll? Just one. Hold
There
on,
we
you
go.
can do
So,
more damage than that.
uh,
Let me check something.
yeah.
I'll do Warlock Matthew, figure out how it works.
Okay, so 24 damage in total. Describe this because this is going to be the final blow. This is going to take it down.
it's still got a bunch of pieces connected to its main body, right?
It had so Aboleth, big giant fish, tentacles, 3 eyes, but daggers in 2 of them, and one was already missing. Like a centaur, attached to the top of it is the upper torso of a frost giant that is dead and has been reduced to a skeleton, and at the back there was a serpent that has been cut off by bullets and has fallen to the floor.
Oh, I thought there's more than that. Okay. She'll just pierce towards the remaining eye and yell some dwarven curse words and
All right, so I mean, the central eye that was already missed months and months ago when you came across this the first time. But you shoot up the eye socket, and your Eldritch Blast is currently like this black, sparkly fire death thing, right?
yeah.
That fires out from your fingers as it pierces through, and you see it just blast through the other side of the aboleth as the creature basically splits in half. And as it does so, a black flame erupts from inside of it, setting it ablaze. As you can see, chunks of dry flesh just flaking off of this thing as the entire thing sets on fire and just burns away to nothingness, leaving just the skeletal upper torso of this frost giant suspended in the air as it collapses to the floor, falling approximately 100 feet as it just hits the floor and shatters and flies everywhere in an explosion of bones.
She will yell, "Can't fucking dodge me this time!"
Well done. You have taken care of the fortress's gatekeeper. Fuck gatekeepers. All right, Flick. Was there anything you wanted to do before I describe what happens next?
Pull my daggers out of its eyes before it collapses on top of me and Spider-Man my way out of there, maybe?
Well, the whole fish just like that's nothing. That's set on fire and turns to ash. So you've got your daggers.
Okay. Then I am going to Spider-Man back up to the Eagle. I don't know how long that takes.
That can
And
happen instantly.
okay. I'm going to come in behind Vaco like he's a fighter pilot on a jet. And I'm going to have my hands on his shoulders. I'm going to be standing behind him. And I'm going to point past his head up towards the rock. And I'm going to say, "Take me in, Jim!"
I love it. Okay, so I'm assuming everyone is heading towards the fortress now. Directly underneath, we have Spice and zombie dragon thing. The zombie dragon thing is flying towards the bottom of this fortress. In fact, you can see a rather large looking. Okay, we would recognize it as a jet engine, basically, but as far as you lot understand, just a massive cauldron billowing fire as the dragon flies through that fire, and I'm assuming is crashing into this directly.
Yeah.
Now, we were discussing this earlier. Shan, you weren't here at your prep work, so we decided to figure out what Greg did. Do you want to tell the audience what Greg was up to in prep work for all of this?
So, while y'all were chatting, Greg decided to make a couple pipe bombs.
Mm.
And by a couple, I mean 100. And basically weld them all together into one giant fuck you pipe bomb. And
So,
Greg hid this bomb inside the dragon.
What I'm really hoping is Greg found some person who can do magic and did some mumbly jumbly. How does this explosion look?
Basically, as it impacts, the creature's just sort of scrunching up, its bones are breaking, its skin is being punctured by the bones and the rock of the base of this castle, this fortress. And Greg pulls out a tiny little box and flicks it open. There's a button inside. And as its peak smashed into this building, she presses the button. And all of a sudden, just you hear like dull thuds like popping. And then you hear more of them and more of them until it's just a thunderous like firecracker like sound of booms, like 100 cannons going off at once as each bomb explodes, sending the shrapnel of the dragon flying everywhere and sending the shrapnel of all of the things that Greg had put in these pipe bombs everywhere, mainly focused into the base of the tower.
Nice. So, this jet engine, essentially, is being crashed into by a giant dragon made up of bones and flesh of smaller dead dragons. That happens as it is set on fire and crashes in. Boom, boom, boom. A rather large hole is formed into the bottom of this fortress. The fortress is still afloat because it had multiple engines, but you see the fortress kind of lean back and tilt. It's just lost an engine. And you know what? You can see a few people being flung off the side and out the windows of this. What this has also done, thankfully, all the cannons that were aimed, you have thrown everything off balance. So it basically fires a bunch of its cannons almost directly up instead of outwards, and a bunch more backwards. So you essentially stopped its cannon attack being useful.
And then I imagine several dozen people die as a bunch of loose cannonballs roll around inside.
Right?
Yeah. You see dozens and dozens and dozens of cannonballs just fall out the back of this thing onto members of their own army underneath.
Nice.
It's the only thing worse than being a cannoneer and having to carry around these 50-pound cannonballs, having the ground twist 45 degrees underneath you while you're doing it.
Everyone else, so I'm assuming the trajectory of Spice basically continues to go up and find this hole.
Hopefully.
Yeah. As you do so, Spice will almost fit through this hole perfectly. Unfortunately, one small thing does happen. Spice is a very big bone snake. As it goes in, the end of its tail is just clipped off, so your Gatling gun falls off. You're not taking
Shit.
that into the castle with you, unfortunately.
That's where Greg is sitting, though, so like I have to climb up quickly on the spines to get away from the
Yeah, that's
broken off
basically
Gatling gun.
it's me saying you can't take the Gatling gun
That's
into the castle.
Just show up to the boss. Here, 250 damage.
Wind wall.
Yeah, shit, that would work.
All sorts of things that would work.
I mean, at that point, he would just drown in the metal.
Alright.
So, everybody else, are you trying to get into the same hole, or are you making your own way?
Basically, once Kid is free of Unst and Reginald, he's going
what
to.
are you?
Go ahead.
What are you doing with them? Are you dropping them off? Are you?
Yeah, I'm just kind of inserting them on the battlefield and hoping that they'll be fine.
I mean, you know, while you're there, Reginald is gonna put his hands to his head and Aquaman style summon his eagle back. It got better. Just flies over. They jump onto a new bird, fly off. So you're NPC free.
Okay.
And you
I
saved
nod my
both.
big draconic head, and then I proceed to fly around, see if I can spot Vaco. And once I do, I'm going to fly in eagle style and grab him in my talons. I'm going to see if I can find Flick, and once I see him, I'm going to fly in dragon style, grab him with my mouth, and then fly up to the hole that was just made.
Okay. And Utswa, are you also just? Are you just gonna like hold the reins of this bat? You have no idea how to fly and go there, please.
Yeah, basically just holding on for dear life.
Yeah. The bat will. The bat knows what's going on and follow and go. As you lot heading up, you're about to climb inside this hole. You see your aerial reinforcements arrive in the shape of several dragons. You see a large, a huge white dragon, a huge blue dragon, and a huge silver dragon swooping in, and they're going to start picking off enemies. And you see them breathing attacks onto the ground forces. They're doing a good job. They're helping.
Okay. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to go ahead and take Vaco and just kind of toss him into the hole and spit out Flick.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go see if I can fly alongside Notad really quickly.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, just kind of quietly to him, try and make it look good.
He gives you a wink. A giant dragon wink goes wink, wink.
I'm going to fly back up to the hole, and I'm going to land still in wyvern form for the time being.
Okay, yeah. You're slightly smushed. Like it's a little cramped because there's also a giant bone snake in here. But you're here. Thankfully, you seem to have land. Like, the hole seems to be in an empty room. How convenient. That's exactly where it led out. A small, empty supply room.
Probably wasn't empty before, but then it exploded.
Yeah. So the team is all back together. We are going to take a quick 5-minute break, give or take, and then we'll get back as you start your ground or your on foot infiltration into this. So, Shogun, can you take us onto a break screen real quick?
Yep.
about invisibly groping butts.
I was tempted to just throw us in live, but I gave you a chance to not put that on stream, but you did anyway.
Welcome to the party. You're glad you're here.
Well, welcome back, everybody. You know what? We can just jump straight on into it. You took care of the fortress's gatekeeper. You are safe in this little empty room. It's a save point basically if this were a video game because that's how my brain works. What's your plan?
How many entrances or exits are there to this room?
Including
Not
giant
including
hole?
the giant hole in the floor.
One.
One. Okay, so Spice just like lays down and opens her mouth, just aimed at that door. Okay, now we make a plan. All right.
Don't everybody speak up at once.
Greg. You say you know the person that was somewhat involved in the design of this stuff?
Oh, well, I mean, he was involved in guns. I don't know if he was no architect. He's a weapons guy.
All right. Well,
This is the time to heal up, right?
yeah,
Mhm.
if you need it. Yeah.
I do need it. I took help.
All right. Natalie will walk up to Utswa and like look at them, see how hurt they are. Yeah.
I'm past. I'm hurting pretty bad.
Are you bloodied?
Well, I'm less than half health, so probably.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm also a little sparky as well. It's crazy.
What is the definition of bloodied in fifth?
It's not a real thing, but it's a term for fourth, which is less than half health.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
that's where it came from.
I'm going to hang on. $21 healing. To you. Rolled not half bad. How are you feeling now?
Oh, is that okay? That was mine. Sorry. I feel better. Thanks. I can do grammar now.
Yes, alright. So, we are aboard. Before I'd heard plans of bringing this thing to the ground, but what advantage would that lend us?
I don't know. Something this powerful probably shouldn't exist.
Well, yes. But
Complete destruction seems the way to go.
the top priority is slaying our target.
Yes, your beef with your husband. Gotcha.
What I mean is, should we waste time meddling with however this thing stays afloat, or should we just go directly to it?
We might want to try disabling their weapons just to save our forces outside.
I don't believe that's
But
worth it.
we could probably do it along the way. I mean, you're right. Priority is taking care of Cap and Dickless and the dead dudes. So
If we finish...
Just to keep this thing up once it's done.
Yes, we can do... Once we are victorious, we can do whatever we like to this thing.
Alright, kid says unpolymorphing. Just kind of going back down to his normal size with the pile of fluid in the corner. So, if this is the case, are we going to continue with the plan? It's when I cause general chaos, we disable what we can, and then reconverge. At the moment, Angus, you and Greg are just meant to track this guy down. Once you find it, we can make our way to you.
Why don't you stay with us until we find a good point for our paths to diverge? If we just send you off on a random path, we might run into this, whatever might be a good location for causing this mayhem. And you might go off and end up in a broom closet. So let's stick together until we find the ideal moment to break the team apart.
Sounds good. We got invisibility sphere?
Spice. And Spice will cast Sphere of Invisibility,
Mm-hmm.
which is down here somewhere. Not Globe of Invulnerability. That's a different one. I'll find it, but no, it's yeah, that it would make us all invisible.
Are we able to see each other while we're visible?
Nope.
Okay.
We've established this before.
I mean, I suppose inside a sphere of invisibility, like that makes area invisible. So logically, inside the sphere, you can. It's when you touch and make each other invisible.
Quixel will grab the back of Greg's coat.
Oh, what's the matter?
You need to be careful.
I'm always careful.
Oh, you're not.
No, I'm not.
No, you're not.
You too. You almost got electrocuted by things' butts. So.
I did get electrocuted by things, but it's not fun.
I know, and I just don't die, all right?
Same to you. Can you come back to my country with me?
Shh.
Right?
I'd like that.
So
Don't die.
this door, how big is it?
It's not quite big enough for Spice to get through, but you can make it big enough.
Why don't you put that hammer to use, Angus?
Angus is holding his hammer and then embedded in Spice's side, and he goes, which hammer?
Take your pick.
Okay. So let me just see how this works. Daughter, you're my enemy. You're in my way. Move. And with that, Angus swings the hammer around, grabs it in both hands, raises it up, swings against the door, stops just before making contact, and then taps it. There's a brief moment before the door and 5 feet of stone either side of it just fly off, creating a nice, sizable 15-foot size hole.
And murdering anyone on the other side.
Yeah, conveniently, on the other side, there was one of those king undead golem creatures, but it's just immediately smushed up against the side of the on the other side, just gone.
Kid's gonna make a little musing to himself. This is cool and all, but I don't know. I might be having second thoughts about falling behind someone who can put that much hatred and conviction into a wall.
We can kill him after we're done if you want.
I don't feel about that, but alright.
I mean, it's not just the wall, it's more, the obstacle that the wall represents. It'll be fine.
Just to let y'all know, I've got 1 charge of knock for the rest of the day, so.
You know I'm still here, right?
Yeah, we also have Flick, who's like a living knock spell.
in the
Thank you.
against the
Thank you.
against the other side of the wall, where it's still perfectly intact. The door just creaks open slowly.
I walk up and kick it.
The door falls off, revealing behind it the crushed corpse of the creature, and its arm vaguely moves. Going,
All right. So would it be kind of apparent which way it is to the like main throne room or whatever?
Well, from your escapades in Dunkirk, you have already been inside this fortress. It's basically just one big square. So, Utsworth, Flick, and Greg, they already know where the throne room courtyard area is. They can guide you towards that direction. If, however, you have other things you want to take care of, like putting a stop to the cannons being fired or trying to make this thing crash down to the ground, you do not know where those areas are. So
Hold a sec. Do we want to do recon?
you can recon.
Between all of us, Uts was the best at recon. Also Flick.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah, there's less consequence if Uts was discovered.
How so?
Yeah, how so?
Well, if optics destroyed, then yeah, it kind of sucks, but it's nothing you can't recover from.
Ah. Okay.
Do as you
Have
like.
you ever wanted to try the double optic style and see how that works?
No, I can't do that. No.
I can keep my shadow ready to go just in case we need to survey something very quickly, but I can only do that once and only for about a minute, so.
Okay,
I don't know.
slightly smaller person than me. Do you want to carry an eyeball on your shoulder?
Why do I need the eyeball?
It's faster that way. Once you get a certain length, like optic can go on a different direction.
I think we're deploying two forms of recon. One Flick, one optic.
So Spice will just scrunch everyone up against the wall. We'll just hide in like a large open area, and just wait there.
Okay.
So we'll get the take an eyeball out.
So obviously you're in a corridor. It goes off in two separate directions. Who wants to go which way?
I put one hand over my eyes. I point the other hand out in front of me. I spin around in a circle, and whichever one I point to, I start marching that way with my eyes still covered.
This is the tactic we've used every time we've gone somewhere, huh?
All right. So Flick, you're heading off one direction. Utsworth, you just rip out your eye and let it go the other.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Cool. Flick, I'll describe what you come across first.
Now I am
As-
hiding and moving silently like a motherfucker.
You notice that the corridors seem mostly empty. However, there are a series of doors on the outer wall, and as you go, you can perpetually hear voices from inside of the doors. You hear voices, just talking. Seems as if they're like preparing, getting things ready, and then every couple of seconds, you hear a loud cannon go off from behind
Okay.
every single door.
Okay. I'm gonna keep progressing down. How many doors am I passing? Like dozens or a couple or?
Easily like dozens. Eventually, you will reach an end of the corridor, and it goes off in a separate direction, forming a right angle like that. So you can just follow it round.
Okay, before I go around this corner, I look back down the corridor behind me. Do I see anybody?
Um, yeah, go on. You see a couple of guards, normal looking humans, and behind them, there's two of them. They've got something strapped to them, and behind you see that they have a big sled, basically, of cannonballs, and you see them kind of stopping at every door and loading, like unloading cannonballs into each room.
Hmm. Okay. um. I really want to go through with the, fuck shit up part of the mission. All right. I pull around the corner so they can't see me. I pull out my dice and I hold them up to the sky, and then I roll them on the ground. Low, I keep going. High, I turn around. That's a 6. That's on the low side by a hair. Okay, I keep going around the corner.
Okay, yeah. Same deal, basically. It just keeps going. This building is a big square. So, yes, there's doors on the inner wall as well.
Yeah.
If you listen and hear in, you don't really hear much. They're obviously like sleeping quarters and maybe like a kitchen, stuff like that. Unimportant.
Okay. Um.
I think TJ is disconnecting
No.
midway through his epic plan.
Bum, ba, bum, ba, bum, 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 ba, bum, ba, bum, bum. We're gonna get taken off of Twitch if I keep doing that.
Let's.
Check. 1, 2.
Hello.
There
There
we
you
go.
are.
You've checked 3 times, and there you are.
There we go. Okay, so if I understand correctly, this being a square, I have gone around 2 corners from the party. If I go to the center of the wall that I am on now, I should be like directly opposite them on the far side of the fortress, right?
You've gone past one corner because where you emerged, you were like partway into a corridor. So you've gone around one corner. So
Okay, so I'm 190 degree away from them. I'm gonna proceed, if I can, unmolested, around the next corner
Mm-hmm.
and check around it before I go around it, and then go to like the center of that wall so that I am as far on the opposite side of the fortress as I can be from where everybody is hiding.
Yeah. As you are going around this corner, a very, very area. In fact, you can see the area where you quite recently, a few days ago, charged through under a giant elephant into the courtyard throne room. So
Right.
the throne room is directly in between you and the party now.
Okay. But this is another wall of rooms with supposedly cannon rooms behind it.
Yes.
Okay. I am going to find. I'm going to go up and I'm going to listen at the doors, and I'm going to find one that sounds like it has 2 guys in it that are talking and distracted.
Yeah. It doesn't matter which one; they're all the same. You find one, and it just sounds like 2 guys, and they're going. So, Jeff, what's your plan after, all this? To be honest, I don't really know. I haven't put too much thought into it. Just do this. Maybe.
I cast invisibility on myself.
Mm-hmm.
You're
I
still
knock on the
invisible from
door.
us.
Am I affected by
Invisibility
that?
sphere only lasts until.
The
Until you
sphere
leave
only
the sphere.
lasts while you're inside of it. So once you
Right.
leave the sphere, you are no longer invisible.
Oh, okay. Excuse me. I'm mistaken. Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. So I burn invisibility on myself. I knock on the door, and I stand off to the side, with the intention that as soon as they open the door, I'm gonna go inside without being seen.
Yeah. So they're chatting about what their plans are after all this is. Door knocks, and they go, "Oh, must be time for a new. Yeah, we are getting quite low on cannons. You know what? These rebels, they sure like being shot with cannons." And they go to open the door, and they don't see anyone there. And goes, Jeff, are you pranking me?
All right, now by the time that guy from the door turns around, I want to have a dagger in the temple of the other guy.
Mm-hmm. When
Yeah. So
as not Jeff turns around, sees dead Jeff.
and I become visible in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
At which point I'm standing there, all 3 foot of me in front of him, and I look up at him with big innocent eyes, and then I look back at his dead companion, and I start to well up a little bit, and I look back up at him, and then I flick and I put a dagger in the bottom of his throat.
Yeah, nice. There is an open door and 2 dead bodies, and
I close the door. I move the bodies so that they don't bleed under the door.
Mm-hmm. You're in a room with a cannon. The cannon is on wheels. It is positioned outside of a porthole.
Oh my god.
It is feasible to maneuver this cannon.
Use your ringamajig.
Check. Okay.
What are you doing?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I move the bodies so that they don't bleed under the doorway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then I wait for the cannonball delivery guy.
Yeah. A minute or 2 passes.
I wait above the doorway, Spider-Man to the roof, so that when the door opens, I can swing down and put 2 daggers into this whoever opens the door.
Yeah. So, a couple minutes pass. Maybe like 1 minute, give or take, as a knock on the door happens, and there's a bit of a pause, and someone goes, "Ugh, Jeff, not Jeff. Come on, we've got a schedule." Fine, what? And door opens, just steps in. As you, I'm assuming, take out these 2 people with a sled of cannonballs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Flip.
Okay.
2 more dead bodies.
All right. I pull out one of the alchemical bombs
Mm-hmm.
that I wound up with. Actually, 2 of them for good measure after thinking about it. And I put them into the pile of explosive cannonballs, and I light the fuses. And as I light the fuses, I say into my ringamajig, "All right, get ready for a distraction." And I start running back the way I came.
Okay, so you're blowing up this sled of cannonballs.
And hopefully the hallway and maybe an adjacent room or 2, and maybe set off a chain reaction, blow up all the cannonballs on the entire side. I don't know. No?
Okay. I don't want to tell you how to play, because I like this. But, hear me out. Every single room in between you and the party has a fresh supply of active cannonballs, and you have a lot of alchemical supplies.
That's true.
On the way back, do you want to chuck one into every single room?
Yeah, probably.
All right,
So-
yeah.
I have to time it so that the fuses are just about to go off before I chuck them in, or these guys are going to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Alrighty. So, Flick, what do you into your ringamajig? You're saying get ready for a distraction. Do you run silently, or are you screaming something as you sprint your way back round to the party?
Mercenary!
Party. Well, actually no. We'll do what Optic sees, and then we'll join back for everybody. Optic, you're scurrying round. You see the sled of cannonballs. As you're going, same thing. Flicks off on the outer wall. Rooms which were having cannonballs delivered on the inner wall. Things like supplies and bedrooms and yada yada. Eventually, you come across a set of stairs going down.
think Optic can climb walls, so the stairs shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
Just like
Just-
on the side of the wall and just go follow the stairs down.
If you head on down those stairs, it opens up into one singular large room that seems to have about 6 separate rooms attached to it. One of those rooms doesn't exist. It is a giant hole, and directly above it is another hole to the that the party was gathered in. It's really hot down here, like uncomfortably so, almost as if giant jet engines are pumping out immensely powerful heat directly below you.
My eye hurts. Oh god, it's so hot. Keep going. I want to keep going.
Which one of these rooms do you want to look into? Just any of them?
And who has Visine when you need it?
So there's the hole, and then there's the hot room.
Okay. Big room. Spread out. There should be 6 separate rooms. One room is non-existent. That's the setup.
I must have not heard the 6-part one the first time then. Okay.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Back with the group, you see Sua like in the air, just like eeny meeny miny mo to herself. So I guess the one in the middle.
Okay, yeah. You just crawl on in. Optic, the door is ajar, so you can just slip on in. Inside, you see just one person on their own, perpetually shoveling in fuel into a large burner. The room is so warm in here, like it physically hurts a little bit to be stood here.
Yep.
You can see this person there wearing like big, heavy, like heat protective clothing.
Right.
But even they look immensely uncomfortable and just too warm as they're perpetually shoveling fuel in.
And that's all I can see in that particular area.
Yeah.
Can you trip them in?
Out, then.
Can you just trip them into the burner?
I'm an eyeball. I can't.
Yeah, you could do that.
I'm like tiny.
I don't think you realize how squishy an eyeball.
Yeah. I'll lose that. It's gonna be
No, you just need to like get up on something and spook him.
It's too hot. Like fall in there and just like burn alive. I'm gonna back out and go in the room to the right.
Basically, the exact same setup.
Okay.
These are all the same room. They're just set up. These are what are powering the engines underneath.
Oh, just same goddamn thing. Okay. You said they were okay. So. Okay. Then Uzo's gonna go. Optic is going to go back up the stairs and back the way she came.
All right. Just for convenience, Optic will meet up with the same time as Flick. The eyeball and the halfling meet each other, and then approximately 2 seconds after they reconvene at the central area, behind Flick, a series of explosions go off, blowing holes into the wall.
Oh god, Optic is gonna cling onto Flick so hard.
Okay.
Much as an eyeball can.
Did you find anything?
I found fire, and then I found fire chasing me. Not a good time.
Flick's blowing stuff up.
Yeah. All right. Let's move. Whoever's coming with the kill team follow.
Okay. I'll cover Rutsuwa since she's technically having to concentrate on having an eyeball out.
Well, I'm gonna put it back in because that was too. Yeah.
So Greg, you've been to the main room before. Lead us there.
All right, let's mosey. And I guess I will lead the.
Are you going round the way that Flick just went? So you're walking in an exploded hallway, which is now basically exposed to the outside because it's blown up? Or are you going round the other way?
I feel like people
Probably
are
go
less.
the other way.
I don't know. I feel like people are less likely to be inside the exploded hallway. We're less likely to
Yeah,
run
that's
into
fair.
people.
We should probably go that way then.
The
Logically.
other way is just a bunch of engine rooms, like or hot rooms with people shoveling things into them, and it's very hot.
We can go that way as well. Don't mind that much.
Whatever way is quickest and less likely to get us killed, please.
I mean, mine was kind of a dead end, so I don't know what to tell you about that.
All right, we'll go the way Flick went.
Alrighty. You go through. On the outside wall, there's holes. Like, basically, you can see outside. It, it's very scary. But you can march your way around and you find your way to. Greg is very familiar. You charge through here with an elephant. You know what's going on.
That statement's amazing to me.
Who wants to lead into here? And whatever surprise. You know what? I will. Wait here. Stay with Spice. And I would like to, if possible, go through the final door, the final step into here on my own.
Yeah, you can totally do that. You step into this room. It is a large square room. It appears to have a courtyard aesthetic. Lined up, surrounding the room, you see like a few very impressive looking guard people, all with rifles. And down on one knee, uh, you don't recognize him, but Greg and well, literally everybody else would recognize it as Krail. And sat in the throne is a familiar visage, as a male-looking figure sat. Hood is down, so you can actually see their face for the first time. Um, Quite a boring, normal-looking person, with the exception that across their left eye is a very obvious-looking scar, and his eyes shine a bright, translucent blue as magical energy is just emanating off of this person. And the man who is kneeling before Krail, who has a very, very, very reinforced looking codpiece on.
The adamantine cod piece of destiny.
Yeah, he's there going. What was his voice? It was proper like, oh yeah, we, Krail, we.
I mean, I imagine it'd be a bit more high pitched now.
Oh no, he is overcompensating.
Uh,
He goes, Your Majesty, I don't know what's going on. I'm confused. I'm scared.
You've done
Someone
better.
just walked in behind me.
I begin studying the king.
Okay.
Can we see them yet?
Yeah, assuming you all
Like
walk
Natalie
in.
enters and all of us are just kind of crowded around the door, like.
Pretty much.
But I'd like to walk forward. I'm just walking forward confidently, ignoring the guards that are there.
In every single guard, you hear.
I just ignore them.
Yeah. I mean, you hear them like loading rifles and aiming at you as you just walk.
What are the
past
guards?
everything. They appear to be human.
Living?
It appears that it's kind of hard to make out. You know, they all just look so generic. Are they really alive? That's the question.
I mean, they're working for the man, so no.
Yeah.
Bourgeoisie.
Yeah.
One last chat for this life, darling.
You see the king, and Kid, is that you casting Garalan's Blessing?
This very second. I've seen this guy before. I know what he looks like.
Yeah. You've not seen his face, but
I haven't seen his face, but I know enough of him when I see him. Yeah, I've basically taken out the hairs, I've swallowed them, and I chanted the words, and yeah, 2 extra arms have sprouted out of me.
you see the king. He sits on his throne. You see him kind of grip the sides, like the arms of his throne tighter, and the immense magical pressure that he exudes. This solid stone throne, like it's made. You see it crack. You see like cracks go up the arms and up the back of it, and the sigil that was Krail's. You see that crack and just split in two. You and your men have been nothing but a disappointment, Krail. And you, dear, you took your time. What's your plan?
Well, I wanted to do it right this time. We'll see.
Well, let's see what you can do.
I spoke with Mother.
What?
Had a little chat. She didn't say anything new, but little meeting.
Krail, prove your worth. Eliminate these for me.
How close am I to them?
The surrounding people, there's maybe like 16 of them.
Mm-hmm.
They're a good solid, 30 to 40 feet away. You can be right next to Krail, like in the center of the room, if you so please.
Yeah, I'd like to slay living on him.
Nope.
Go for it.
I think we're having fucking 0 of this noise right now.
Emasculate him further. He doesn't even get the chance to attack.
I love that spell because it's like reaching out with the scissors and just
Oh wait,
snipping
no.
the cord.
I don't cast it. He needs to do a save against.
What is it?
Let me double check.
What does he need to make?
Can help.
He needs to do a fortitude. Where do I check that on my?
I've got it. It's a level 4 spell, right?
5.
5. 18. He's got to beat an 18.
Okay, well, he got a 90 on the die. So does he take damage, or does it just not work?
He takes damage. He takes not a ton though. It's quite a disappointing amount.
3 3d6 plus 1 per cast level, so 3d6 plus 12.
Yep. Didn't roll half bad though.
Okay, what did you roll?
25.
5. Yeah, it's a decent roll. As you, I don't know, you grab his shoulder, you touch Krell's cheek. You do. You see like this energy try to get through to him as he just kind of shrugs it off. As he stands up, and Krell's a big guy. He's a good like 6 foot, like 6'4", give or take. Big, muscular, very stereotypical, hyper masculine type of fellow. And as he stands up, he draws out a rather large sword. Everybody else, what are you doing?
Well, I'm gonna say hello to my old friend with a nice shot from one of my guns. And I'm going to use a grit point to aim specifically, let's see, for one of his arms.
Go for it.
Alright, let's see here. Let's use peaches.
Ready?
Yeah, that will definitely hit. When you hit the arm, what does it do?
Basically, no damage is done, but he drops one of his carried items, even if it's a two-handed item.
Yeah, so as he starts to draw out this rather large clatters.
And
Smarter,
then with
better fingers.
and then with my other gun, I'm gonna shoot him in. I'm gonna shoot him in the leg. 25 hit,
Yes, it does.
and he is
And
knocked prone.
yeah, so he's standing up slowly, draws out his sword. What's everybody else doing?
As soon as Natalie started moving into the room, I cast invisibility on myself again, burning my last one.
Mhm.
And I also is invisibility a concentration spell?
Invisibility?
Yeah,
No, you cast
Yeah.
it and it works until it doesn't.
Yeah.
I can cast another spell that affects myself too,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay. Then the round after that, I'm gonna cast Spider Climb, and then I'm gonna basically crawl in through the side of the door and just start, Spider-Manning my way up the wall with the
Mhm.
intention of getting to the roof, going above the entire battle, and positioning myself behind Zargathrax, all the while hopefully maintaining my studious observations of him.
Okay. Okay. Kid, what are you doing?
At this point, I'm gonna be doing the wizard thing. Like, let me look. I actually want to react last, if that's possible.
Oh yeah, yeah. Utswa, what do you want to do?
I got to see the situation first.
Okay. Hang on. Guess she'll just go with the flow and the room is filled with people, right?
Sorry, what?
The room is filled with folks, with bad guys.
Yes.
Thinking of casting her first raider location,
Mhm.
wall of perilous fire. Basically, just a wall of fire. So,
Okay.
gonna do that. Don't have a Macafort though, so.
That's fine. Wall of Peril's Flame. It's a medium range. 20 feet long per level, or a ring with a radius of 5 feet between us.
You
20 feet
can.
high.
That is big enough for you. You can just surround and block off all of these riflemen. So you can just, yeah,
Doing that.
set it all on fire. Yep. The riflemen have basically been taken out of combat because they've got a wall of fire in front of them. So, Cody, you're the last one.
Okay. First order of business. I'm going to see if we can take out Krail.
Does
Mhm.
Spice get a turn?
Yeah, Spice as well.
Okay.
Then go ahead. I want to see what Spice does.
Spice is going to do chain lightning
Mm-hmm.
on Krail,
Mm-hmm.
which will deal
A bunch.
yeah, a bunch. Give me 1 second. I believe it was. What is your caster level? Tell me what your caster level is. It is.
I think Spice was like a 14th level.
Yeah,
caster.
I just want to get it right because I don't want to cheat on accident. Come on, spells.
I mean, I
There we
didn't
go.
roll
I got
a
it.
single dice for the last 4 people I killed, so.
Okay, I got it. I got it. That in lightning damage to Krail, and then half that to one of the
God
guards.
tracks it like a lightning rod.
Yeah. So it hits Krail and it bounces off and just hits a random guard through the fire. Krail is still standing, well,
would imagine.
kneeling, but not looking fantastic.
Okay. How close is Krail and Zargafrax to each other?
Well, Krail's in the very center of the room, so about 30 feet.
30 feet away from each other.
Mm.
Okay. And he is unarmed. Okay. So this is what I'm going to do. Well, actually, first, how far away is Zargafrax from me?
It'll be about 60 feet.
60 feet. Okay, too much. All right. This is what I'm going to do. I am going to run directly at Krail.
Mm-hmm.
And right as I get to him, I'm going to release Sugar,
Mm-hmm.
who can make a full attack.
All right, go for it, Sugar.
All right, here it comes. And yes. That'll be a 12 and a 10.
They're both fantastic hits. How do you want to describe that?
Basically, what's going to happen is out from the smoke of Greg's gunfire, Kid's going to basically run, dragging the chain behind him.
Mm-hmm.
And right as he gets to within 10 feet of Krail, he's immediately going to swing Sugar over his head and release.
Mm-hmm.
And Sugar flies forward like a coiled up snake, wraps around him,
Mm-hmm.
and proceeds to twist his body while keeping his legs in place.
Just,
Oh, it's that scene from Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
yeah, just. You hear a very, very distinguishing snap as Krail just he's on one knee and just slowly falls over, body twisted, a solid like upper torso twisted a solid 90 degrees from the lower body.
Well, he was forgettable.
Yeah, I turned back to my husband. You certainly know how to pick them.
Was there anything else Kid was wanting to do?
At this point, I put myself right out in the open. So we'll see how this goes.
Okay. Zargafrax sits on his throne. Sees.
Other doc just rated with a party of 9. Thank you very much. Hello.
Oh my god.
Woo! Thank you very much. You arrived just as we are setting up for our final climactic battle. As the Sorcerer King Zargafrax sits on his throne, his right-hand man just destroyed broken, collapsed on the floor. His cavalry of guards hidden behind a wall of fire, and this ragtag group just stood. And Angus is going to slowly step out, wielding his big fancy hammer, looking menacingly. Angus might be the hero, but he knows that this isn't strictly speaking his fight. He's here to deal what needs to be done. He's not here to take glory from anyone else. Zogafrex looks down at you all as you are essentially just flexing, saying, "Look, we took out your right-hand man with barely a sweat. We've taken out one of your fortress's flying engines. We've taken out half of your cannons. Down on the floor, your forces are slowly dwindling as you sit here working for you."
He's saying all of, like, Kid's basically saying all of this just by putting one middle finger up at him. Which, considering he has 4 hands and he's only devoting 1 to the cause, that's probably a bigger insult than it should be.
Oh, yeah. It's a pretty big deal. Zagafrex, as mentioned before, the sheer magical potency he is giving off is enough to split this stone throne he has sat on. Zagafrex doesn't even stand. He just glares at you, and his translucent, bright blue eyes flash. So he looks down at you all. Like, physically, the throne is ever so slightly raised. He is physically looking down on you. And just, he is giving off this vibe of, how dare this lower level of existence feel they can come to me. And he speaks. You really think that you've won? That you're going to march in here and just end centuries, millennia of planning? No. No.
At which point, I drop from the ceiling and attempt to drive a dagger into the back of his neck as a death attack against undead.
Flick. As you drop, when you get within 10 feet of Zagafrax, you find yourself just... it's mildly comical. Like in cartoons, when a character just hits a window? Like... as you just slowly slide this invisible force field that has been surrounding him this entire time.
Well, now we know that's there.
Just to clarify, this is the spell Anti-Life Field. Like, he's been surrounded by it, so nothing can get inside this.
Well, that was a bad decision. My daggers aren't alive. I could have thrown a dagger and it would have worked just fine.
I'm gonna pull out Pepper at this point and just unload all the barrels into this guy.
Has my invisibility broken, or am I still invisible?
That would have counted as an attack, so yeah, you would have broken.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's see. How many shots does Pepper have? I think Pepper has like 6 barrels that just
sounds about
rotate
right.
like a revolver. So
Yeah,
I'll just
just
do
Pow,
6
pow,
attacks,
pow.
I guess.
Yeah, go for it.
Alright. There's 5. There's 2. There's 3.
Okay, so
I
19,
guess it's pretty
17,
agreed, Greg, so
28. I mean, for flavor, you can unload all 6.
Oh yeah.
oh, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, that's not a good sign.
5, 6.
And that's a crit on the sick one. So, just to reel these off, 19, 17, 28, 24, 19, 35. Were you aiming for anywhere specific or just firing them
Just-
off one after the other?
Just mainly his like torso, like whatever the broadest part I could hit.
As he sits on his throne and you just unload darts, him still partway through a monologue, you see the bullets fly into him. You see them impale through onto the other side of the throne. And as each shot hits him, immediately, like, his body doesn't react like flesh, it reacts like ethereal matter. Like, you see skin and flesh fly off and is immediately replaced. This man is no longer flesh and blood as we recognize. He is pure arcane energy.
Would it help if I told you what kind of bullets they were?
Yeah?
While Greg was preparing, she also decided that she should make some holy water bullets.
Okay.
Does that help at all?
It'll do something. So, as these bullet holes fill this guy, just holes all over his chest. They all splash out holy water. And you notice as he is sat there, a small splash hits his face. And you can see there is a slight searingness to it, like on the flesh you can see. The holy water is burning, but he is healing and replenishing more than the damage you can be dealing. And let's just count off the damage you dealt. So first attack was 10, 9, 12, 7, 9. The crit, however, being a solid 20. The crit looks like it definitely did something there. Where you hit the crit, we'll say that's where it splashed and hit his face. And you can see physical burning like acid against him, but all the chest holes there just sealing up. She looks at you all, and he is filled with rage and hatred. You pitiful mortals. Do you not see that you are in the presence of a god? You should know when to kneel. Krail knew when to kneel, and Krail shall be rewarded. He raises one hand and holds it out as Krail's spine twists a little bit further and further and further until Krail's entire upper torso is rotated 180 degrees as he shambles up. Any sense of life that Krail had is gone. As this creature, Krail is no longer a man. Because from inside his torso, another set of arms appears, and a set burst out from his shoulder blades, all wielding various different weapons. As from inside Krail's body, his legs are ripped open, and a serpentine tail forms out. Everybody who is near Krail, so that would be Kid Natalie, you're going to get wildly swung at by this terrifying creature. So,
While this is happening, though, I'm gonna yell at the sorcerer king. I'm like, does that mean his dick grew back too?
It's now a scorpion stinger.
well, it's like a snake tail underneath. Like Krail's legs have like split off and gone. Like you can still see Krail's legs; they're separate. They've fallen off of his body. Okay. So the 3 attacks to hit Kid are 26, 23, and 21.
All of them hit.
Yeah. Thankfully, they're not super huge damage. As you get swung at by a sword, a dagger, and a mace. So, sword is that, dagger is that, and mace is that. So you will take 12 plus 9
Wait, just 1 second.
plus
I
7.
have to ask something really quickly.
Go for it.
Is he still considered a medium-sized creature?
No, he's large now because of the tail. It
Is
grows.
his reach 10 feet?
Yes.
Okay. Wanted to make sure that combat reflexes didn't come into this.
Yeah, so what did I say? I said 12, 9,
Yep.
7. So that's what you
12, 9,
take. And Natalie, you're getting swung at as well. That's a 19, an 18, and a 28. And you are being swung at by a spear, a club, and what's the 6th weapon? Yeah, it's just another sword because it's basic. So, spear, club, sword. And that is 9, 9, and 7. So 26 damage for Natalie.
Okay.
The flames that were surrounding the guards, they seem to be diminishing as you see behind, but all of those guards have they've dropped as if the life energy has been siphoned out of them. You can physically see this, like what one would comprehend as, spiritual, arcane, innate, magical essence being siphoned off of them towards Zargathrax on his throne. This is feasibly how he is powering himself. How is everybody reacting to this?
Kid barfs up some blood. As those hits took him a little bit lower than he could stand. His bravado carried him pretty far, but not that far. Thankfully, Sugar can fight on his own.
You've gotten a little bit full of yourself. But I still love you.
Till death do us part.
Absolutely.
Flick, Greg, do either of you have anything to
Well, this is some creepy shit. I think Flick is MIA.
Damn it, Flick. Well, damn it, TJ's internet connection. Alright. The final thing that will occur is Angus will stand there, having been very quiet thus far, and he'll just hold his hammer. He'll look at the Sorcerer King, and he'll just go, no. 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 And with all of his might, he will throw that hammer across the entire room. It's smashing into the anti-life barrier of the Sorcerer King, and you can all visibly see this invisible barrier just shatter and smash. And roll initiative. And that'll be where we end tonight's session. Whew. Final battle. Nice.
That's
Nice.
pretty good.
Alrighty. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We will be back next week for our final session from Tales from the Kingdom of Five. Big thank you to our sponsors here at Welcome's Party, being Tabletop Loot, Devin Rue of RueInc.com, and So Nerdware. Huge thank you to them. You can find Welcome to Party various places on the internet, on Twitter at Welcome Party RPG, here on Twitch at twitch.tv/Welcome Party RPG, over on YouTube at youtube.com/Welcome Party, and over on Patreon at patreon.com/Welcome Party RPG. You can also find the Welcome to Party podcasts over on Google, Podbean, and iTunes, all under Welcome Party RPG. That's all the things. I have been the Bardic Knock. You can find me on those same platforms: Twitter, Twitch, Patreon, and YouTube, all under the Bardic Knock. Yeah, that's me. Shogun, if I wanted to find you on the internet, where would I find you?
You could find me at Shogun117 on Twitter, and here in the Discord, Welcome Party RPG.
Alrighty. Shan, where would I find you on the internet?
Well, you can find me at Channellogic across Twitter, Discord, Tumblr, all those places. So just go to my Twitter. It's where you'll see links to my shops that I have and find out about what's going on project-wise.
Alrighty. Cody, you have artists you like to tell us about.
I have two of them, and I love talking about them endlessly. The first one is Thomas JV on Twitter, who is doing really awesome stuff. I'm going to have a very nice picture of them on my wall, probably not by next week, but it's going to be a thing. And the other one is Mikun19, who draws the awesome pictures of basically anything I ask and does it well, but also draws the second image of Kid with his four arms and looking awesome.
Yes. And Rebecca would tell us about her DeviantArt, which is Lundana, Lundana. Go check that out, because Rebecca has done wonderful artwork for us. And we are going to go and raid somebody who is on. By the looks of it, Roll Call RP is on, so let's go and raid them. So /raid roll, spelled like that, call RP, click and raid. That's happening.
Goodbye, everybody.
Until next time, stay safe and happy adventuring. This is where TJ. There we go.
And we're